Yes, people! Welcome back to GNA TV. I hope you guys are well, wherever it is that you may be around the world. Late night stream, late night for us in the UK. Late night stream brought to you guys. The show that I've been getting messages on. Jem, you got to do a stream. The Ricketts are out. We've did it. We've won. Get Pies on. Well, there he is. He's here. He's next to me. Look, Pies. He's here. So we're going to get into everything as always. All of the news that happened today in regards to the Ricketts. We're going to be going through that with some of the Twitter feeds that we've got, which I've got above as well. We're also going to talk about the bidders that are left. You know, get Pies' thought and opinions on each of these partners and their consortiums and views, and that bit like what we did yesterday when I sat and we went through sort of an intellectual show and breaking down the parties and who's involved, which was a bit of a nightmare. But all of that to come, guys. All of that to come as well. The match preview for the Palace game potentially going to be early Sunday morning around 11:30 because I may be going to the game. I'm not 100% sure yet because I'm going to be going out with some of the boys and tomorrow. And you know what happens when you have a couple of drinks? It's so whether I'm going to be up. But we've got all of that to not forget that. We've got to get on with this first. We'll get on with this. But make sure you're smashing that like button. Subscribe to GNA TV. We're 10 away from 5.1k subscribers. We're moving at some mad rate at the moment. On our way to 10k subscribers on YouTube. Let's cue that intro. Yes, people, welcome back to GNA TV, and I hope you guys are well wherever it is that you may be around the world. In fact, actually, as there's nearly over 50 of you here already here 2 minutes in, let us know where you are watching us from. Is it the UK? Is it America? Or is it from the Far East? Let us know in the chat as well, and we'll bring it up before we start delving into the news as well. But before we get into any news, before we even start delving into the nitty-gritty of what's happened today, let's quickly have a little talk with Mr. CFC Pies. How are we doing, Pies? How are you feeling?
Yeah, I'm doing all right, bro. It's been warm today in England. Don't know about everyone and the listeners wherever you guys live, but yeah, I'm in Chelsea FA Cup semi weekend. Looking forward to it. Slowly getting over the Real Madrid result. Although every time I watch even one highlight of it, I just get automatic pain again instantly. So, yeah, I'm doing all right. I'm feeling good.
Good. And I bet you're feeling even more better when hearing the news that we heard today in regards to a certain consortium in the name of the Ricketts as well. So you know, there's a lot that we're going to be sort of delving into and giving our thoughts on as well. But let's go through the chat quickly, Pies, before we start getting into it. Big up to Vinny. That's in the house. I hope you are well. Sosa, good to see you. Gavman, Frazier is here. Seppers, big up to you, my guy. Luman Yu says, I'm very well, no hungry stream. I don't know what he's talking about there, but big up to you. Ice cold beverage, big up to you. Says, big up to German players. Nice to see you in your house. Josie CFC says, hit the like button. Let's do that. Let's get this over 50 likes as quickly as possible, guys. Lots to get into. Mustafa says, no way Chelsea are going to go next season with no owners. Not going to happen. But there was a comment that I read yesterday in regards to Chelsea not actually finding an owner and Tuchel maybe not being able to sign players. Something maybe we can talk a bit later on with Pies in the show as well. DJ Sav J in the house. Nice to see him as well. This is big up German Pies. Nice to see you. Daniel Wilkerson. Big up to you, bro. Top bins. Gary. Nice to see you, my guy. Dexter's in the house as well. Poor vibes. God, they're all in here today. Don't go, Jim. Please let us have one trophy. Listen, it's a myth. I know the last 3 games that I've been to we've lost. Don't put these losses on me, man. Come on. Don't do this. Don't do this. Everyone's trying to stop me from going to Wembley, Pies, because we lost the last 3 games that I've pretty much potentially gone to. Real Madrid, Brentford, and what was the other game I went to as well? We lost. It was a poor team as well. I can't remember. I think it might have been a draw, actually. But anyway, people don't want me to go to the bridge anymore because it seems like I'm a bad omen. But that ain't going to stop me, guys. Big up to Joshua. Big up to JSTV as well. Pradeep. J Arch as well. Nice to see you in the chat. George Campbell, everyone, Nick Blue, NS Sports, big up to you all. But let's get into it because there is a lot to get into, guys. Tons of news to delve into. And what was more like the breaking news as it came out was the fact that the Ricketts family have withdrawn their final bid for Chelsea. this was obviously reported by Jacob Steinberg, who, to be honest, kept it short and sweet. When I read into it, he didn't really say much upon it. We was really sort of unsure as to why they had pulled back, and then everything started to sort of come into fruition. And then we obviously got this bit of news next after that, which was basically saying that the Ricketts, Griffin, Gilbert group have decided, after careful consideration, not to submit a final bid for Chelsea FC. In the process of finalising their proposal, it became increasingly clear that certain issues could not be addressed given the unusual dynamics around the sales process. We have great admiration for Chelsea and its fans. Yeah, like fuck. And we wish the new owners well, is what the comments we have here. Now, Pies, I know we know more in regards to this, and we're going to get into it in a bit. But when you heard, like, what was your initial thoughts when you heard the announcement of the Ricketts family pulling out, and also this comment pretty much coming up minutes after as well?
Shocked, to be honest with you, because I
Mm,
think even with like the fan protests, the petition, the hashtag on Twitter, which all got loads of coverage, loads of media attention, it forced the Ricketts into making statements. You know, that they met the Chelsea Supporters Trust. The Supporters Trust were against them. Obviously, they did the survey, the Supporters Trust as well. So,
Is he gone? Pies, you still there?
sorry, bro, I just coughing really badly. I had to mute myself.
Right, okay.
Jesus. Okay,
Get some
no.
water,
So yeah, obviously they did the survey with the Supporters Trust, and I thought, well, we've got all these different sides against the Ricketts, yet they're still wanting to go ahead with it. So I thought nothing was stopping them essentially. But it looks like I don't know whether it's legal issues or I don't know disagreements over shares and stakes. I'm guessing something like that. Maybe Griffin
mate.
wanted total control, or like the majority stake. I don't know what exactly has occurred, but it's occurred, and I'm happy about it because I didn't trust them, especially when I heard that the Ricketts be running it day to day. Like, I just don't want them running the club, to be honest with you. I don't like them. There's nothing to like about them. And
Mm,
even if Gilbert and Griffin have a lot of money, I don't care, to be honest, because structure for me is the main thing we need. We need sustainability. We need longevity.
mm,
Um, and that doesn't just come with throwing money. So yeah.
100%. Couldn't have said it any better. And to be honest, we are still on the. We're still not fully sure in what to expect from any of the owners, really, are we? And I'm talking about the Todd Bowleys and the Broughtons, the longevity element of them and what their plans are to do. But there's been a lot of talks around what is required for them to put forward in regards to obviously their investment into the football club. They've got to promise at least around a 1 billion investment, which they're going to have to probably show on paper how and what they're going to do to keep this club at its elite level, along with the redevelopments of the stadiums and other things that will come across with that as well. So, there is a lot of which I'm hoping there's some sort of guarantees in whoever the final bidder is who wins, that they have to follow or proceed with once upon getting their hands on the football club as well. And I expect us to just not drop. I expect us to be kept at the highest level. But the biggest W out of all of this is the news that the Ricketts are not involved in this, and the fact that they've pulled out of it as well. I was really shocked of it, to be honest. When it came out, I was like, is this, because I saw it as Absolute Chelsea popped up, and I was like, is this a fake account? Like when you're just not sure because there's so many of them. So I was like, no, I'm going to check this quickly. And I clicked it, and then I reopened it up, and then obviously it ended up being him as well. So, you know, yeah, great news. We're going to get more into the Ricketts now as well, and delve into the more of the reasons as to why this may have been the case. I have starred some of your comments in the chat as well. I know we've got one from Pradeep that's asking Pied some questions. I will, at later on in the show, guys, allow you to get your questions in. If you've got any questions for Pies that you'd like to ask him, then please do so as well. Big up to Undertaker CFC as well, Seppers. Big up to all you guys. Pagliuca, I can never say his name, Pagliuca is the fave to get the club, is what Undertaker CFC feels like. I'm not too sure, Pagliuca. I'm not going to lie. I'm not 100% sold on that consortium one bit. But we'll go back to where is it? Absolute Chelsea's feed, because there was more stuff from here that came out a bit later on from that as well, and it started from here because obviously we know that they weren't going to submit the bid, but it was understanding more of the reason why. And then it talks about they're in the process of finalising the proposal, but then it became increasingly clear that in certain issues could not be addressed given the unusual dynamics around the sales process. And that was just very confusing sort of explanation, I would say, in many ways. But then we also found out that Ken Griffin was kind of trying to pull out, if that makes sense, Pies. From what I understand, it was like as if there it is here. Ken Griffin was vocal in wanting to pull out of the Ricketts family's investment group bids for Chelsea. There was issues over the share split. So you're telling me, right? And this is what don't make sense, Pies, because I was trying to make sense of it earlier, is that they get shortlisted. They haven't, like, surely before you even get shortlisted, all of these things about share splits and whatever else in regards to the likes of people like Ken Griffin and the other partners that were in there as well, surely that was made clear from the outset as to who's going to be getting what the idea is to move forward, because you have to get these guys on side to join the consortium in the first place. So when you read this, Pies, or when I read this, what was your thoughts of when you heard that Ken Griffin started feeling a little bit unsure on the share split at this point as well, being that they were so close to it? It just don't make no sense.
Yeah, I think he wanted more of the share than the Ricketts were willing to give up potentially. But as you said, like this should have been all sorted out before the shortlisted stage, in my opinion, because once you get to the final shortlist, you're like it's like almost like the home stretch for you in terms of
Mm.
like, you could be picked any week. So I think all of that should have been sorted, and it just seemed like a mess, really, from what's come out today. It just seems like they were already, I don't know, maybe they were doing a lot of back and forth. Maybe they had an agreement in place, and then when they got shortlisted, someone changed their mind, meaning that to reorganize the shares and splits. I don't know, but it does seem a bit of lack of organization. It just makes you think like if they couldn't get the organisation for the bid sorted, how would they ever going to be agreeing to run Chelsea? Like, how would you know what I
Yeah.
mean? That's the
Yeah.
problem with all these consortium, and all these consortiums left still have a lot of people in charge, but Boehly has by far the fewest people. So that's like a big point for me. Like, I don't
Mm,
want a consortium with 8, 9, 10 investors. It's just dumb and stupid. Everyone's
mm.
going to argue over the different decisions, and it's not just about transfers. It's like day to day decisions. Like, you don't just. There's a lot of stuff that goes on at the club, like day to day, that you have to decide. Like training ground, academy, staff, players. Like, there's so much different stuff that goes on. Sponsorships, working with different employees and companies. Like, so that's what I mean. The organization of the club needs to be good. And that's why I think from everything I've read, Bowley seems to have good structure, and I'm hoping that if he does win, it does come out that what we've been led to believe is true, because otherwise we are screwed if he's
Yeah.
another Glazer. But I don't think he is, because he doesn't. You can't always go off American teams, but Walter and Bowley involved. I mean, he's wanted Chelsea since
Mm,
2019. Like,
mm.
he's wanted a Premier League club so badly. You look at the interviews he's made. Like, you look at the articles about him. You look at the Dodgers proof. Like, these are all good signs in my opinion. So I don't see how it could go horrifically wrong.
100%. And we are going to talk a bit more about Boehly and Pagliuca's consortiums a bit later on. We're also going to talk a little bit about Broughton as well, and on where they stand with it all as well. But I kind of want to just finish off on the whole Ricketts thing as well. And obviously, we had this comment here saying the Ricketts Family Investment Group opted not to submit a final bid due to a consortium members being unable to agree the final composition of their offer. Like, I'm happy. Don't get me wrong. This is the greatest thing that could have ever happened. I just feel it's more than that. Like, I get the whole thing of partners disagreeing, and this can happen in consortiums, or having one partner that maybe wants a bit more on the other, and then it just falling apart because they don't get that agreement in. But to get to the position that the Ricketts found them in, and you've got to bear in mind, once they were shortlisted and we knew it was them, it was Boehly, it was Broughton, people were already thinking the Ricketts may potentially win this, or they were at least top two favourites along with Boehly to go on and win that. And for something like this to sort of make them have to withdraw their bid tells me that it can't just be this. Because yeah, you might have disagreements with like partners here, there, and everywhere, but it don't make sense how you get to this position without understanding your share cut. Like, you've entered into this consortium with the clear understanding of how much how much your share is of this, yeah, how much money you're expected to invest in it, and when are you expecting to find that money return. Now, the one thing I would say, and it's about all of the consortiums, whoever it is that takes over Chelsea Football Club and wins this, is that none of these owners are going to be making any money anytime soon. So all of these consortiums with certain individual partners within them are probably prepared to know that they're probably going to have to spend more at the beginning than they are going to see going in their pockets. And I feel like maybe that is a little bit of a turn off for someone like the Ricketts, who we know are, from what we've heard, when you look at, for example, the Cubs are quite tight when it comes to, well, not say tight, but from the way that they structurize their sports teams, is that they like to try and spend money, but spend less of it, and they don't really keep their teams competitive. And the fact that they want to do that doesn't really work with Chelsea in regards to what Rain Group and Chelsea are asking them in terms of spending the 1 billion and stuff like that. So what I'm trying to get is, I feel like there is more to the story than the fact that the Ricketts have just pulled out because maybe Ken Griffin feels that he wants more money. That just doesn't sit with me properly. But listen, I'll take it. I'm happy. I want to big up everyone on Twitter, everyone that went down to protest, to push this motive about the Ricketts family not taking over. It's massive. It's a successful day at our football club. I feel like we've won. I feel like we've managed to unite and make our voices heard, even though we felt like it wasn't. Now, I know I did read something on Twitter where they were saying that the Ricketts family wasn't even aware, Pies, apparently, of the fans' movements in regards to, how they really felt about them. And that didn't really make them, like, they're not, what they're saying is them pulling out was not part of the decision as to why they pulled out. Do you feel that's the case, or do you actually feel that maybe some of the partners are part of the Ricketts are maybe looking at it, knowing after seeing the protests and the bits on media that, and think to themselves, what's the point in investing money into somewhere that people don't want us to be at? Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know. It's very very hard to say because what I would say is like every time, like well, the protest happened, and the hashtag and things like that. Every time something like this happened, where it did get a lot of traction from media, they seem to put out a statement saying like we're committed, blah blah blah. We don't we don't agree with the views of racism and all that. It was just like fair enough if Tom Ricketts didn't, and like it could be truthful. I don't think they're all horrible people, but
Mm,
I don't know, man. Like, it just for me personally, like, why would anyone want to come into a club where you're not really liked from day one? Like, it just doesn't make sense for me. Like, yeah, I don't know. And if you did come into the club where you're not liked from day one, would you have those good intentions to
mm,
win back over the fans, or would you just be like, "Fuck it, they don't like us anyway, so let's just run it how we want to run it." You know what I mean? That's how I
100%.
think about it. It's like it just, I don't know.
Also,
It,
if you're, yeah, go on.
No, I was gonna say it probably was to do with stakes or whatever, but there might be, even if it's a little bit, even if they've had a little bit of doubt in their mind, then we've still won because we still did something. We
Yeah,
didn't sit back and do anything. And it's
exactly.
not just like me, you. It's like anyone that spammed the hashtag, anyone that turned up to the ground, anyone that signed that petition which got 20,000 signatures. Like it
Mm,
doesn't have to be reported for them to see it either. Like you know what I mean? Like even like the two guys from Rain Group privated their Twitter accounts, they would have seen this.
mm,
Rain would have had discussions with the Ricketts about it.
mm.
Like there's loads of people that see what's going on social media. So it could have been, it could not have been. We'll see. Well, we probably won't see, but we'll probably never know. But we can guess.
Yeah, 100%. Are you surprised that someone like Ken Griffin, who was the main backer of funds, didn't approach this himself? Like, why did he have the Ricketts involved? Like, he didn't need them. Does that make
Well,
sense?
yeah, he
Why?
wanted someone with a sporting background. And obviously in his statement he said, if trust is validated, us will build this team and blah blah blah. Sort of stuff you'd expect from any owner to say, potential owner. But yeah, he wanted someone with a sporting background. He called them like him and he called the Ricketts and Gilbert, saying like they'd built world class franchises. I mean,
Mm,
I don't really call the Chicago Cubs world class from what I know and hear.
mhm,
And Gilbert was in charge of the Cleveland Cavaliers, who
Yeah.
I'm not going to pretend I know anything about American sports, but again, from what I've read and stuff, he wasn't like he was a decent owner. He put some money in, but he wasn't. When you think
Mm,
of world class franchises, you're thinking of like the elites of American sports. You know what I mean? Whoever
100%.
they are. But
100%, 100%. We also received this. Well, we saw a statement come out not long ago. Actually, it was about an hour ago, I'd say, roughly, from um, Chelsea, Chicago, and it was a statement basically saying, "I'll read it out to you guys as well once I get it right." We felt it was necessary to address the news today that the Ricketts family has decided to not submit a final bid for the purchase of Chelsea Football Club. It would be a waste of time to speculate as to the reasons why. There is still the ongoing sale of the club. Three bidders in the running and much work yet to be done. First, we thank all of our members for expressing their opinions, trafficking in facts, and making our collective view known with a commitment to strong but fair engagement. It was always our intention to be a positive part of this sales process and to offer solutions with any issues we raised. We also want to thank Tom and Laura Ricketts and accompanying members of their bid team for proactively engaging with us to hear our ideas and feedback for better Chelsea Football Club. Bidders were not obliged or obligated to engage with supporters. However, we may personally feel about them and their plans. Despite this, any reports you have seen, we can say that Tom, Laura, and their team heard us and were receptive to putting our ideas into actions on numerous occasions. Since the start, we have said we will respect Mr. Abramovich's decisions as to whom to sell the club and the supporters. The new owners, however, we can and support the new owners however we can. Ultimately, Chelsea is the most important focus, regardless of any personal opinions and experiences. Last, we hope people appreciate the enormous amount of work done on behalf of all of us by the Chelsea pitch owners and Chelsea supporters trusts. They have sacrificed more than most will ever know to be our advocates every step of the way. And yeah, Chelsea Chicago, they writ a written statement out to, I don't know if it went to just to the Chelsea club or the government, but they threw their bits in as well in trying to make themselves heard as well. And it's they're right in what they're saying. It's not worth sitting there talking about the reasons. Apparently, they did acknowledge um, what was said by the supporters trust in regards to themselves and what's required at Chelsea. I'm not going to lie, Pies. I did read Chelsea Supporter Trust's statement. I think it was yesterday when they were talking about some of the bullet points of things that they want any of the bidders, whoever wins, sorry, any of the owners to take over to follow. And they're talking about the likes of things like golden shares and things like that. I'm not going to lie, it was certain one or two things where I was a little bit like unsure on, like if I agreed with what they were asking. But you know, I feel like they have still done what they've needed to do to a degree. I just don't think we will know much about it until maybe we have the new owner and this blows over, and then we kind of maybe find out a bit more. But at that point, I don't think people are really going to care, what happened through the process and how it happened, and all the ins and outs of what happened. But all we do know is that the Ricketts family are no longer guides. This is a massive, massive win. But it does leave, and we're going to move on from that because it does leave three shortlisted bidders that we need to talk about. Now, keep smashing the like buttons. There's over 100 of you here. Subscribe if you're new to the channel as well. Make sure you follow CFC Pies on Twitter as well, guys, if you haven't done already. But I want to talk about what Raymond Group was saying here, because Raymond Group will announce the preferred bidder for Chelsea towards the end of next week or the following week. Pies, when I done a stream yesterday with the viewers, we were talking about a comment that I saw. I can't remember who brought it up, but basically they were saying that if Chelsea don't have a new owner signed before the special licensing runs out on the 31st of May, if that license isn't extended or amended, then Thomas Tuchel may find himself after June the 10th not being able to buy players. How quick do you feel that the process now, from what we know, is going to be to actually finally understand who's going to be the winner? And do you think it's going to be done before we even think about going into sort of transfer window next season?
Oh, I think it's imperative that it gets done before the transfer window opens. I think it will be as well because, like at the end of the day, the government wanted Bromwich to sell the club. They've got what they wanted, so
Mm.
they need to now help us. The Premier League needs to now help us to get this sale through. Personally, I have no worries that it will happen before the transfer window. I think that'll be fine, but might be pushing it a little bit. But it will definitely it will go into May. But like the fit and proper persons test shouldn't take too long as like there's no problems with any of the winning consortium members. Because then if they find a problem, they don't like something, yeah, they may drag on a bit. But personally, I don't think it'll be that much of a problem. And I mean, what Sky Carve's saying is also not what I've been reading. From like the Athletic and I think it was the Athletic. Just loads of
Yeah,
reporters are basically saying could be like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. They hope early by next week, but I mean, end of next week or the following week, I think is pushing it a bit. I think they'll name the winner soon because personally as well, just for me personally, obviously I don't know the inside details, but Boehly has been the winner, you know regarded as the winner alongside the Ricketts. Really, from all these reports, they've not ever mentioned Pagliuca or St Martin Broughton's as like serious contenders. Like Matt Law's on holiday at the moment, but he hasn't. You know what I mean? He's always said
Mhm.
Ricketts and Boehly. Athletic have always said Ricketts and Boehly. Steinberg's always said that. Who else can I think of? Anyone? Nizar, like any of these guys, they've not ever mentioned the other two's consortiums as serious contenders. So now one of them's eliminated. The winner should be fairly straightforward, in my opinion. Like, and also I say the advantage that Ricketts and Boehly had was that they did due diligence. One in 2018 for the Ricketts, they tried to buy us, but Boehly actually submitted a bid in 2019. So again, that's supposedly a massive advantage to Rain Group, like shows you care, that sort of thing. So for me
Yeah,
personally, I think Boehly wins, and I think it shouldn't take too long to announce. For me personally.
yeah. No, I hear you. Guys in the chat, I know you're all asking loads of questions that you want to know. I have starred most of your questions. Don't, if you can, don't stop like copying and pasting the same message in. I can see it. Don't worry, we've started it already. I will come back to it in a bit. You will get your opportunity to ask any questions relating to the bidders as well, or any other questions around Chelsea later on in the show, which I can bring up me and Pies, or if it's to Pies, can answer for you if he can, to a degree as well. So make sure you stay tuned as well. We'll get into that very short. But I agree. I don't think it's something that will drag out. I don't think Chelsea Football Club will want that as well. When you think about negotiations of contracts, being able to sign maybe their summer targets. Tuchel needs to be backed. He needs. I think we do need to strengthen personnel. I don't think we have enough in the locker of what we currently have at the moment in terms of squad depth and quality. And I think that was very clear in the Madrid game when we sort of run out of legs, so we say, after we scored the third goal and we looked at our bench. I think Tuchel's probably looking at it and he's not fully 100% happy with that. So I think there's a lot of things that if we're going to stay competitive, if we need to be up there, getting close to Man City, Liverpool, challenging in the Champions League, things like that, we're going to need to continue this process of signing players and renewing contracts like Rudiger's, who we can't let go. And I feel that this process of getting an owner sorted will not only be pushed um, by probably the bidders because they probably want to know where they're at, but also by Chelsea Football Club as a rule because they want to just get on with life, and the government probably doesn't want to, in many ways, have to be waiting around any too longer with the special license running out on the 31st of May. Now, I don't know if that changes if we do sort out the new owner a bit sooner. You would like to think so, but we're already moving into mid-April, so we're not miles away from the end of that initial license expiry date as well. So there's lots to still happen. But what we do know is that Todd Boehly's bid for Chelsea has been submitted with no issues, so nothing came out wrong with that. We've heard that Stephen Pagliuca's submitted his final bid for Chelsea before last night deadline, so he again is no issue. And also Mr. Broughton. Obviously, Broughton Broughton, Boehly, and Pagliuca bids are there. They're on the table. They're the last three left. And it says they're all backed by a small army of mainly US investors. Now, if you're Rain Group, obviously the relationship that they had with the Ricketts, probably getting into this position is probably 50% part to do, or maybe a bit more of that to do with the Rain Group. Now they're not in it due to sort of not agreeing the shares between each other. When you look at who is left, Pies, and obviously what we read about in regards to Rain Group saying that they will still have to give their sort of preferred individual out of three. Who do you feel now the Ricketts are not there? They're going to maybe push a bit more for Chelsea to look to take on as a new owner.
Has to be Boehly, I think. Just has to be. I mean, he was like if all reports are led to be believed, then he was one of the favourites. There was two favourites, him and Ricketts. So I just personally don't see how Martin Braun or Pagliuca's bids win when they've got so many complications in. And I did a tweet about this. It's just it doesn't make sense to me. So Martin Broughton, like he has two investors, big US investors who have stakes in Crystal Palace. Like that's not been confirmed whether they're going to get rid of them. And he also has other investors. One of them, which I really, really, really don't like, Vivek Ranadive, I think his name is Ranadive. He owns the Sacramento Kings in basketball, and I kid you not, they are the worst basketball team apparently for ages. Like they're awful. He's apparently a really, really bad owner. So I don't even want him involved in Chelsea. So Broughton can get in the bin, and Pagliuca owns 55% of Atalanta, owns Boston Celtics, and supposedly is going to own Chelsea. And Di Marzio came out last night saying that apparently owning Atlanta would not be a problem, as well as Chelsea. I mean, how does that work? Like, there's European laws. Like he was on the Atlanta pitch last night or a night before. Yeah, I think it was last night, waving his Atlanta scarf around. Get in the bin, mate. You're either Chelsea or no one, in my opinion. Like, you know what I mean? I want full focus on Chelsea. I don't want, like, yeah, obviously Boehly and Walter, they have connection to LA Dodgers, but I'm talking like I don't want another guy who's runs a European team. Like, I don't want him putting money into Atalanta. I want him to put it in Chelsea. And also with that bid as well, he's got like 9, 10 investors. Like, it's all over the place. It does like you can't just bring on 10 investors to reach a sum of 2.5 billion and expect to win. Like Boehly has to win. The other two just don't make sense in my mind. They're not normal bids. Like they just seem rushed and put together and hope they win the bloody thing. And I don't think they have a clue, the other two. Honestly, it's awful.
Well, is it not the fact that Pagliuca's also brought on the Blues, whatever it is, in John Terry's? Is that
I
correct?
really, really hope that doesn't make a difference because I'm going to be fuming. Honestly, if it, oh Jesus, no, that cannot happen. Just because they're like, they could have just joined them because they're the only ones offering it. You know what I mean? Like, of course, Pagliuca probably has good interests in Chelsea, but I still don't want that many investors involved in Chelsea. Like, it just screams mess. You've got Ricketts, Gilbert, and what's it, Griffin arguing, and there's only three of them. Like Boehly seems to be doing well so far. I mean, look at that list. Come on, who are
Yeah,
these
well,
guys?
this is literally I had to
Fucking
scroll
hell,
for ages to find this list because I had to
bro,
find
come
this
on.
because when I read it yesterday to you guys, I literally got lost trying to read it. So Mr. Pagliuca and Mr. Tannenbaum, is he not the guy that got sanctioned, or he had a company he had a company closed or something, if I'm right and say I can't remember anyway. Are joined by other leaders in business, media, and technology, including former Disney CEO Bob Iger and renowned journalist renowned
Journalist,
journalist Willow Bay,
journalist.
Facebook co-founder Edward Saverin, businesswoman Elaine Saverin, B Capital co-founder Raj Ganguly, co-owner of the Golden State Warriors, Los Angeles Dodgers, and Los Angeles Football Club, Peter Guber, global venture capitalist Jim Breyer of Breyer Capital, investor John Burbank, and serial tech entrepreneur Div Turkia. In addition, the group welcomes the endorsements and support of the True Blues Consortium, an organisation dedicated to Chelsea FC, focused on representing the fans' interests. Now, if you're throwing the True Blues Consortium in as well, which we know is mainly led by John Terry, who the fuck else is in that consortium to join the top of all of them names above?
Oh,
Like,
there's loads of funds apparently involved in that shit. Sorry, I love you, John Terry, but I don't know. Like, sorry, like stop trying to get involved in absolutely everything Chelsea do. Like, bro, it's crazy. Like, I just honestly, this whole fan thing has done my head in. By the way, the only thing I agree with is the golden share because that means they can't join the European Super League, and they can't change the stuff like team badge. Like, fair enough, but you want fans on the board and all this rubbish. Like, oh, it's just,
no,
oh my god,
that's
bro.
one of the things that I cannot. And you know what? Actually, I actually am going to come back to that really quickly from the Chelsea Sports Trust because there was some things I haven't actually gone through it with the people yet as well.
Look at
But
the state of that list, bro. Like a
I just want
journalist,
exactly.
an owner of 3 clubs. You've got, I mean, what the hell is a global venture capitalist? I don't even know what that is.
Forget that. There's another one. You've got a serial. You've got so many mixed like companies. It's not even in one like niche. You've got a
It's getting
serial
on.
tech entrepreneur in Div. Yeah. Sorry, I don't mean to call you Div, but that's your name, Div. Yeah. And then you've got blimmin' John Burbank. You've got who's it? Jim Breyer of Breyer Capital. And then it goes all the way to a businesswoman called Elaine Saverin. And then from that, it flies all the way to the Facebook co-founder of Edward Saverin. What the fuck is going on here? Like, then Bob Iger from Disney CEO. Don't forget the journalist, players. You know the journalist, the renowned journalist, Willow Bay.
Well, I've never heard of him. If he's a renowned journalist, I mean,
Oh,
jeez, I
mate,
don't even know who that is. Why is it like a journalist? What is this? We're trying to buy a football club. Like, does he have connections to
on,
football? Like, I
on a
just,
on a
oh my
serious
god.
level, I questioned this yesterday, and I actually think I brought this up, and I even said to everyone, all the 140 people that are here now and more, I said to them, I said, this cannot happen. We can't have a consortium that has that many people within it. Because what happens with shares, like we just seen with the Ricketts in the split, what happens when maybe one or two of these partners want to divert and pull away? What happens like, there's just too many partners with different probably personalities and ideas and like you're never going to get a clean and clear structure of what's required at our football club when you have so many eyes in the pudding. Does that make sense? Like you're always going to have problems, and that's what I'm saying to people. You're always going to have problems. There's just too many people. If they cut it down to Pagliuca and Tannenbaum, I know Couch Critic, who himself, big up to him, says Tannenbaum is a great owner. I know him for his work in Toronto. That's cool, no problem. Pagliuca, Tannenbaum, and maybe the blimmin' Chelsea, consortium, True Blues consortium on there. But why the hell do they have to have about 9 or 10, 11 different people are part of this? Is it the funding? Is it what? Is it the idea? Is it the of what? I don't know. It just looks a mess to me, and I don't think it's in any way a good idea for Pagliuca to win. But there is more problems with him as well because I read on not long ago actually. Um, before we move on from that, is there was this comment here from CFC Daily, which was in the Daily Mail about him having some. We'll read it anyway. When we're reading this, how is Pagliuca meant to get a license approved if this is mentioned again? If this is mentioned again nearer to time. Now, apparently, he's being questioned in government, in Parliament, for some sort of corrupt business practice that he was doing in another country, which apparently people are not happy about. So he owns a company, Bain Capital, which is again part of the consortium of the bid that they put in forward to take over Chelsea. But apparently they've been doing a lot of lawfully acting in South America, which has been spoken about heavily in Parliament in the last couple of days from what I've read in this. I read it briefly anyway. I ain't going to bore you guys to death of it as well. Now they're saying that if Pagliuca does even make it, and that's without him having to actually release some of the shares of Atlanta, which you will have to do as well. If he does make it to the main guy or the winner, how is he then going to get past the government, Pies, when there's these new, fresh, controversial claims about him doing some corrupt business with a entity that is partly funding Chelsea?
Yeah,
It don't it,
it's
it don't
gonna
it
be a
don't
problem.
really make sense, does it? Like if you've got issues with like if Parliament are talking about it, if Parliament heard that the company have been indicated for acting unlawfully in South America, if they're really talking about that as a bit of an issue, how are they then going to allow this guy and Bain Capital to take over? You know, it's just for me, it seems like there's one problem onto another problem onto another problem. Does that make sense? If this is true as well with this Pagliuca, so yeah. It's a bit of a it's a bit of it's a bit of uncertainty. So we'll have to see what happens later on with Pagliuca anyway. And we'll move on from him. We're quickly going to move to the Chelsea Supporters Trust comments that we were just talking about and their requirements of the winners, shall we say, the successful bidder, and what they've required them to put forward. I won't read all of it, but obviously they mentioned that there is free bids at this point as well. They're saying that the outstanding balance of the loan from Chelsea FC to the Chelsea pitch owners is forgiven, so that Stamford Bridge is secured by and or for Chelsea supporters. Supporters are given a legal binding say on matters of club heritage, including the stadium, the club name and crest, and a participation in a new sporting competition through the issuing of golden share. Now, is that the one that you're okay with, Piers? That
Yes,
statement there?
because I mean, if they offer a golden share to someone like the CST, you cannot like you know how Roman Abramovich and Bruce Spark entered the Super League.
Yeah.
Like that's legally not possible if if they have a golden share involved in the club. You can't go through with a decision like that legally unless you have um well, if you don't have a if you do have a golden share, you can't do that basically. So like you know, for example, Todd Boehly couldn't come in if he had a golden share involved and change our name to Chelsea Lions. Like it's not legally possible. But he could legally if you don't have a golden share. You know what I mean? So it's that one I do agree with because you can't go into a Super League without um, you know, fans' discretion, support groups' discretion, basically. If you have a
Yeah,
golden share,
I have no issue with fans getting involved. My issue with fans getting involved sometimes is the emotional element of it, and sometimes I feel that certain elements of what Chelsea Football Club is needs like just business minds. If that makes sense,
yeah,
more than the emotional attachment.
it's not about managers or anything like that. It's only about the club tradition. So kits, crest, like they say here, entering new competitions. Yeah, it's matters of club heritage. So you know, the fans ain't gonna go and tell Todd Boehly to sack Tuchel. It's not like they don't care. It's not like the owners don't care about that. It's about like
My yeah, no, my issue with the goal, well, the one part of that golden share is the stadium question, including the stadium, because you know what our fan base is like. It is very divided let alone on players, but even in this instance, because there are certain fans that want to stay where we are and don't want to move, and then there's other fans that are, thinking of the whole branding side of things and having a bigger stadium and being able to get more, tickets a bit more easier and having the nicer, bigger stadium, which are allows to be, not say elite, but up there with some of the elite clubs in their stadiums. Like that for me could be an issue with the stadium. I get the other bits, don't get me
well,
wrong.
I think a lot of that goes to then the Chelsea pitch owners. But I mean, let's not forget. Like I'm pretty sure Roman consulted. Or he had to consult the Chelsea pitch owners before redeveloping to make sure it was everything. Um, they agreed with it basically when he was going to do redevelopment
Mm.
because Chelsea, they you know they own the pitch. The Chelsea pitch owners. It's like at the moment it's like Tuchel, Emma Hayes, but there's like a lot of like Dennis Wise owns some of the Chelsea pitch. There's a lot of like it's almost like a consortium of pitch owners themselves. So I mean, personally, I don't think that the supporter groups or pitch owners will have a problem with expanding the stadium. It's more about like if they wanted to move and build a brand new stadium is what I'm getting
Mm.
at. Because I've spoke to a few of the supporter trust and they don't like. I'm pretty sure it's more like they don't want to build a new stadium entirely. It's more like they want to keep playing at Stamford Bridge. I don't think they have a problem with upgrading it. It's more about moving.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. All right, let's quickly move on to some of the other comments then. Yeah, so you've got um, a continued commitment to Chelsea FC women. No problem with that. I agree with that as well. If anything, we should be growing it, branding it, developing it more across the world. I think development centres should be set up in other countries where we can sort of nationally grow the women's football even more so. The creation of a shadow board of supporters to advise the Chelsea FC board on what? Can you explain that? What are they? What is this shadow board of supporters going to advise the Chelsea FC board of managers, players? What are they talking about? Contracts, players that we should give contracts to, or sack, or get rid of? Well, I don't get what the shadow board of supporters requires, and who gets that? Who gets that
I
opportunity to
did,
be a part of it?
I did read that yesterday. But I've kind of forgotten it, but it didn't like spark my mind as to be something that's awful. Basically, I did read it yesterday. I saw it somewhere. What it was, I can't remember now. It's nothing that deep though.
Yeah, is it? But when they say the creation of shadow board of supporters to advise the Chelsea FC board, but it doesn't actually say what are the things that they're willing to advise in what circumstances. Does that make sense? So that we would have a bit
Yeah.
more of an idea.
Um,
That's what they should have done. Do you know what I mean? A commitment to continuing the legacy of Chelsea, of the Chelsea Foundation. Fine. You know, I mean, it ain't as bad. I mean, we're reading it again. It ain't as. I mean, they're not asking, anything out of the ordinary when you think about some of the things that they've asked there. Um, fair enough. We have to kind of put our trust into them anyway. They are the voice for us in many ways. It's just seeing what happens in the long run. They also mentioned about Pagliuca not having a initial meet with them. That they'd met all the other bidders, but not him. But I've been told, I'm not sure who told me, but someone told me that had been sorted, or they're organising to have that conversation with Pagliuca. So he will be meeting Supporters Trust at some point. So we'll have to see on what happens with that there as well. Um, Broughton. Broughton. I mean, I don't know much about Broughton, to be honest. I don't know much of what's going on with Broughton and what he's doing. We know that he's still there. A lot of people felt that that they had felt behind. They're not really, you're not hearing much from them. Sometimes someone being as quiet as the Broughtons are at the moment, or Broughton's consortium are at the moment, might be purely because they're just getting on with it, as from what we can understand. But do you feel that the Broughton group are, not only because of the English connection anyway, but do you not feel that their bid could be more appealing to the likes of Chelsea when you look at what they've already done already with for the likes of example Liverpool and actually owning a football club already in this country?
well, I mean, he was only chairman for 11 months. So
True. Yeah.
I mean, it, I'd be a fool to think that wouldn't have some sort of impact because he's worked in England with a football club. Of course, like that's obviously a good thing, but still, looking at the makeup of that consortium, like the two investors in Crystal Palace, like I just there's not really enough details to be honest with you, Jim.
Mm,
Like I don't really know what to say on these guys because like nothing's really been released. Who's going to be controlling what? Like at least we know with Todd Boehly, like he's going to be controlling the day to day. Like we've heard really nothing on the Sir Martin Broughton thing. His name's just been reported in the shortlist. Obviously submitted his bid, but that one's fairly quiet. Again, I just don't want him specifically as well because of that Vivek guy. I mean, he's just Jesus Christ. The stuff I've read on him, he's awful owner. And just too many investors, too many. Like you said, one pulls out could cause a problem. Um, so yeah, I just don't really understand it to be honest. The makeup of it, like kind of like Pagliuca as well.
Even though Co is Chelsea, he's also had accusations of dodginess with Olympics, and he's a Tory, so it's no for me. Fair
Oh
enough,
yeah,
Gary.
also I've just forgot he's in that, right? So
Mm,
I remember the government said a month ago. I'm pretty sure that's that same guy, Chris Bryant or whatever his name
right.
is, the
Yeah.
one who
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
having a go at Roman.
Mm,
I'm pretty sure he was the one in government who was saying like this. bid from St Martin Broughton can't go through because Lord Coe had connections to a Russian oligarch. So, I mean,
Yeah,
how
but
has
he's
this got
English.
to...
He's
Yeah,
English.
but still, like, how has this gone to the final stage? But that was said in government. So I don't know how that one, hypocrisy, things like that.
Yeah, again, I just like I keep saying, I think this government picks and chooses who they want in and out and whatever else, and they'll make special. Um, what's the word? They'll just make. I don't know. They'll just make decisions based upon what they feel. It's the way I feel with the government. They just pick and choose pretty much. But even if Broughton has Catalina Kim behind him, don't want them either way. That's what Seppers is saying as well. That's right, Pies. I remember that. Yeah, I agree with what you're saying there as well. Yeah, I agree. But then we're going to move on to Todd Boehly, and then we'll get your questions in. So make sure that you get your questions ready, and we'll go through them as well and answer them before we sort of tie up the show as well. Todd Boehly, he is moving quite nicely. Say quite quietly, but I want to talk about the news that we heard around Clear Lake Capital potentially owning 50% shares of Chelsea Football Club. I read that was the case, and today from someone else that they rubbished that as well. But basically, Todd Boehly is the main operational guy. He's the spearhead of it all. He will be the face of Chelsea Football Club. Obviously, he's bought on Mark Waters and he's got Vix on there as well. I don't know why he's got Vix on there. I still don't get it. Why he's got an 86, 7-year-old sitting there as well. Is that Tottenham also? Is that Tottenham guy involved as well? You know, the guy that's, I can't remember his blooming name.
Yes, Jonathan Goldstein, yeah.
That's it. Yeah, Jonathan Goldstein. So, you know, he's a part of it as well. But in terms of Boehly and Mark Waters, obviously they've had their relationships at the Dodgers. You know that they've got some sort of idea of or a system in place with what they've done there. And when you speak to Dodgers fan, they're very happy with the success that they've had there, the players that have been brought in, the way they target personnel to make themselves competitive throughout their, throughout their sporting events. So is there any worry? I mean, let's quickly talk about Clear Lake Capital. Do you feel that might be the case, that there might be an entity that owns, which is by the way valued at 60 billion as well? Do you feel that might be the case, that that Clear Lake Capital would own majority of it and then maybe split out between the three of Mark Waters, Vice, and Boehly?
Well, I know that they are Boehly's partners, Clear Lake Capital, so
Mm,
they are working with Boehly.
mm,
And I think just in general, it's not really a big deal because like they like let's just put this straight. I was saying this earlier on Lawrence's stream as well. I said anyone who comes in is going to want to make a profit. They're going to want to make money. No one's going to be like Roman Abramovich. However, from what we know, Boehly and his idea of making money is to win. So, in my opinion, they are going to invest. Clear Lake, Boehly, whoever are going to invest, and they're going to get money back from stuff like stadium revenue and winning trophies. Like, they are business people, but winning and business can go hand in hand. It's just with Roman, he didn't really care about the business because he was, you know what I mean? He was stacked anyway.
emotional.
It was
Yeah.
this was his toy. Like he just wanted to win, win, win. But with every other club, it's business. And some of them are just strictly business, which is the route we don't want to go down. But I feel like it's going to be business and winning with us. I always feel like Chelsea will continue to win. Like for me personally, like people having worries about Goldstein, but like initially I was like, oh, Tottenham fan, that's great, but he's strictly here for the stadium redevelopment. Like Manchester United have just, by the way, I don't know if you guys have saw this, they've just hired the Spurs stadium developers to redevelop Old Trafford.
Hmm.
So I mean, like this is just business at the end of the day. And also Daniel Finkelstein, great person. I've talked to him as well privately. Great guy. He's worked with head of data at Liverpool. Bowley likes the data. Like in this consortium, I can see clear connections. Um, in which in others I can't, which I like. From speaking to Finkelstein, like seems like a really good guy. And also like he mentioned as well for Goldstein, for anyone that's worried, he kind of mentioned in one of his original tweets, which everyone said, "Oh, it's PR." He kind of, but he said like at Chelsea we talk about people that were Tottenham and then eventually came Chelsea because of trophies and things like that. He was talking about Willian, obviously, and he's kind of linking it to Goldstein, saying, "Look, he may be a Tottenham fan, but." it'll come over to Chelsea and he'll see, you know, the light, that sort of thing, kind of like Willian did. So use that
Mm.
analogy to kind of calm fans down.
Yeah.
Hans-Jörg Weiss, he's 87, so I keep saying to people, what is he realistically going to do? He's not gone into a football venture. He is not really um, that interested in football, but he's again a long-time Boehly partner. Boehly trusts him. They've been on a lot of ventures together. He has like 5 billion net worth, so I don't know. Maybe he does get bored and puts money into Chelsea. Who knows? We don't know, but I think he'll have a minority investment. But the thing is, with this consortium, which I like the clear links. You know what I mean? It seems more structured. They seem to know what they're doing, and everything about Boehly seems really smart. So I'm just hoping it turns out that way if he comes in.
I think I agree. I think back to when obviously we knew that SMG were out of the race. I agreed with you. Actually, you said that I would prefer Bowley. He's clear idea of what he wants to do with the football club. His idea of where he wants to go with it. Listen, there's talks the talk, but it's whether you can walk the walk, and that's with all of them. Whoever it is that makes gets chosen out of the Chelsea hierarchy. But I feel more comfortable. Like there's more of a clear plan with Todd Boehly and what he wants to do. And I know he's mentioned the likes of using data and using the same sort of methodology of what they used at the Dodgers over at Chelsea. So there's a lot of things that we need to see. Obviously, will it happen? Will we get the backing straight away? I expect any owner that comes in to make sure that the backing's there instantly. I think short term they will do that just to get fans aside, but it is the long term project, and I think that's why the process might slow down a little bit to get a feel and a full understanding on sort of procedure, dates, aims, project ideas, like stadium, for example, when and where do they feel that they could potentially get this going and things like that, and and how much money they're looking to invest not only in the main team but across the women's team and development centres and whatever else that is available that needs to be done as well. So, I feel that Todd Boehly's probably the man because he's the spirit of it. He's the man to do it. I think Mark Walters is important as well in Todd Boehly being successful at Chelsea, and I'm quite happy that he's brought him on when you think about the business that they've done at the Dodgers. Mark Walters also owns another company that's worth 300 billion. So again, if he wants to throw that on board at any stage, it'll nearly bring us up with what probably the Newcastle owners are on 330 billion their worth is or something. So, if he looks to do that at a later stage to help, increase the funds and stuff like that, and bring his companies, because he's a CEO of that company, or Gunninghelm, I think it is Gunninghelm, I think they're called, or something like that. So, at a later stage, that is another option. So, yeah, with the Vice thing, I agree. I maybe he just trusts him. I don't think he does much. I think he's just more of a funder, and he's probably getting a cut. Now, I agree that no one that's involved in these bids are looking for they're looking for money. You're looking for their shares to come in. No one's going to be putting in money in something they're not going to earn. But I just don't see that being anytime soon when you think about what still needs to be done. I mean, our squad, you could probably say, needs quite an overhaul. A new stadium plans are going to cost quite a bit. The idea of maybe improving the recruitment department, which I think needs to be done, may happen. Other development ideas that they may have to grow the branding of Chelsea Football Club is is something that may happen with them as well. So I think you're going to see that a lot of money will be paid out before they even think about making any money. And I don't mean 1-2 years that they should expect a return. I think this is a long-term project, that they're probably going to have to take the bite of the bullet and start getting on with it and pull their money out of their pockets and get on with before they start seeing any sort of return in revenue. So there's a lot of things that are going to happen. I do hope it is Boehly. I don't think Broughton. I mean, we don't know with Broughton. That's the thing. So I don't want to say much about Broughton. But from what we've seen of Pagliuca, the new comments about him being involved in the corrupt business that was in the papers. Also, the whole thing of having so many partners on there, owning 50+% of Atlanta. Like, I just feel like there's a lot against what him, as I say, a lot against him actually beating the other two, or much so I say Todd Boehly, because that's what we know more of at the moment. And Todd Boehly's group, like you said, is a lot more smaller and more controllable, with the right people who have the funding, that have enough money to do it between the three or four of them, which is fine with me. I have no problem with that. So I feel and I hope that Todd Boehly does win this at this point now, and we'll have to see what happens from that moving forward. But guys, we've been on for an hour. Make sure you're smashing the like button. Let's get these likes over. It should be over 75 likes, guys. Come on, all smash the like button now if you haven't done already. Subscribe to the channel as well, because we're about 4 away from hitting 5.1k subscribers. It massively helps the channel as well. So big up to everyone that's already in here as well. Viewers, let us know in the chat, out of the final 3 that are left, who is it that you want to win, and explain why. And we'll obviously go through that as well. We'll also get your questions in the next 5 minutes or so that you want to ask as well. So make sure you got your questions ready for us to go through as well. But I really want to go back to football really quickly, Pius, and ask you this real quick question. Romelu Lukaku leaving Chelsea, potentially going to PSG, is what I read earlier today. Apparently his agent's already sniffing around. What are your thoughts on that?
I've seen this, but it's not real. From what I've been seeing, not been from a great source, right?
Hmm.
Couple of kind of dodgy sources. So I don't know. It's one to keep an eye on. I think I'm so undecided whether he's going to stay another year and try and turn it around, or if he's going to leave. Again,
Yeah.
I think that one will be up to new owners as well. Really, if you sell him even for 60 million, you take a 40 million loss or whatever. That's still 60 million you can go and reinvest. So of course it's a loss and it's L for us, but for me, if we can get some sort of 60 million, that sort of money for him, I'd sell him. But also, like, I don't know. I know he doesn't suit our system and stuff, but and I know he's been awful, but it still lingers in the back of my head. Like, this is Lukaku here. Like, he can score goals. I don't know. I don't know whether
Well,
we're giving up on him too quick, but also Havertz is just so good at false nine, or I don't even want to call him a false nine anymore. He does play striker, but obviously drifts around and things like that.
I
So
don't think even Tuchel knows what he is, or from
yeah,
reading.
there was a great clip as well, by the way. I posted that as well. The
Yeah.
analysis on Havertz from Tuchel. Um, but yeah, I don't know. Out and out strikers. I mean, game's really involving. You think of Liverpool, City. I mean, City might be getting Haaland, but there's not too many top clubs out there that have a number 9 anymore. Every one we try, we just they seem to flop somehow. Even a Premier League proven player like Lukaku. So I don't know what I want to do with him yet. To be honest with you.
I want to. Well, my thoughts are that I just feel that his head's not here. I don't think he wants to be at Chelsea. I don't think he's in. I don't. From what I've seen of him, I don't feel like he's. I just feel like he's done, mate. I'm going to be honest with you. From what I've seen of him, and I know it's very early to say, I just feel that if Tuchel's our manager, I don't feel we're ever going to see the best of him, because in a Tuchel system, we're going to play a lot of keep ball, a lot of moving the ball, a lot of movement from forwards, a lot of hard working, lots of ability to be able to create for yourself and link play and stuff like that. I don't think he's that. We think we just fucked up when it comes to the profile striker that we were looking to bring on originally. And look, we don't play counter. We don't play to his strengths. At Inter Milan, a lot of his goals were on the counter. It was always Inter Milan's defending solidly and then breaking quickly with the right players, and him playing next to Martinez. And I don't know. I just don't think Tuchel. I don't know. I don't know. I don't think Tuchel genuinely, and I've said this. I know Tuchel nodded his head to it, but I genuinely don't think Tuchel wants him here. I do. I feel like he's. I don't think he's. Listen, I'll tell you something now. If he goes on to the end of the season, in and out, sitting on the bench and whatever, and he doesn't get involved and he's not scoring any goals until the end of it, I think he's going to be gone.
But
I'm
what do
sorry.
you think about that quote from Tuchel the other day? He kind of basically said like, "Oh, I'm not giving up on him. He's a part for the future and all that." Like, he came out with that the other day, and I was like, "Well, that's
This
interesting then."
But this tells me again already that he's looking for the big box, because he already knows that he's already got these 100 mil move at 320k. To switch his agent to Raiola is for him to try and gain
That's
as much
that's
money
not
as he
been
possibly can to get away. You know,
Yeah,
if
that's
that's
not been confirmed yet, but if he does officially change agent, then yeah, I think he will leave. But he's not actually done that yet, so I'm not sure.
I'll tell you something now. If he goes to the end of the season and doesn't score any more goals or any goals that were actually worth remembering, he will be the worst signing I think we have ever signed for 100 million. There's not going to be a worse, and I don't care. You can't even put Morata in there or Timo Werner or Fernando Torres. He's worse. He's worse than all of them because at least I can remember a goal scored from them that was quite important. I can't remember anything from this guy, and
Yeah,
he was our highest paid player.
that's why he needs to turn up on Sunday, really, isn't it? But even then, it's Crystal Palace.
It will go down as our worst ever signing for me. Like there won't be a worse signing than Romelu Lukaku. And you got to think about all of that. I don't want to keep it, but the interview thing, like everything that's happened since he's been here
And
for the
that's
first.
just sad because in the summer I was so excited and like really like he is a proven goal scorer. So um yeah, I would be I don't know, gonna be an element of
28 goals
frustration.
against the top six in how many years in the Premier League?
Yeah.
The rest
I
of
remember
it,
we
like,
analysed that, but still,
come on,
I
man.
just
You even
I
put it
don't
up.
know, I've always liked Lukaku. I don't know why. Even I've always had something for Lukaku. I always seem to I don't
I just
know.
think you've got to play to his strengths, mate. And I don't think we play anywhere near to his strengths. And I think he's a very narrow-minded system player. Like the difference is this: you throw Benzema into our team right now, I think he scores loads of goals because he creates for himself. His movement's
Yeah.
there. If he's not seeing the ball, he makes things happen. Look how much chances we create. Look how many chances we created against Real Madrid over 2 legs, 48 or 49 shots. You telling me Benzema wouldn't have scored? All right, he scored a hat trick against us, and that was on minimal. That was on minimal opportunities. Can you imagine if he's getting like at least 10 shots he's waiting and landing to him? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, that's the difference. Like, I just feel that we, I don't know. I'm not going to say much until the end of the season, but I'm telling you now, he will be the worst signing we've ever bought on, I swear. But we'll see. I ain't going to talk too early. Still over 140 of you guys. Smash the like button, guys, as always. I did miss what your comments were earlier. There was a lot of Bowleys. Bowley. Bowley seems the most stable. I wanted Ricketts, is what Julian says. We've got there's always one, isn't there, boys? There's always one. There's always one. Um, yeah, it seems like most people wanted Boehly. Boehly. But we will get your questions in because there were questions asked from you guys. Get your questions in now for Pies, myself. We'll get them. We'll answer some of them before we finish off as well. I don't know. What was that say? I don't know what his strengths are. What Lukaku? Yeah, his strengths is making sure the ball lands to him in front of goal and he puts it in. But then against Real Madrid, he missed an absolute sitter. He had no one around him. So I don't know, man. We'll have to see what happens. We'll have to see what happens. Right, what have we got here? So Pradeep asked earlier, Pies. I had to star some of these comments. He asked, question to Pies: 3 players you would want the new owner to buy to strengthen the squad, which can win the Premier League.
Or it's very, very interesting because again, we don't know who's gonna flop, who's gonna do well. So I think a DM's paramount. That's very important. I think. Look,
Mm.
Kante and Jorginho are 31 now, and yeah, Liam Toomey's just done a piece on that. Actually, what we're going to do going forward, another decision for the new owners and Marina and whoever else is going to be here, Tuchel as well. But I think a DM's paramount. Obviously, Tchouaméni and Rice are the main two we've been scouting and targeting for last summer, this summer again. We haven't heard of any more DM targets, so I'd imagine we would try and go for one of those in the summer. One of those would be nice, I think. It can allow us to play 4 at the back, cover spaces. Both can play in a pivot. Um, Arguable whether they can play lone 6, but we'll have to see. Rice probably could, but I'm more of a fan of him in a pivot, to be honest with you. I think I'd like a wide forward as well. I'm kind of sick of our wide forwards at the moment. I think
Mm.
Ziyech, Werner might leave. Don't think Pulisic will leave because I think the owners will tap into the American market and he's still young. I think maybe he has 1 or 2 more seasons here. Ziyech, I just think likes to be the main guy. I like Ziyech, I do, but I feel like he likes to play a lot and be the main guy. I know
It's
you
too.
don't like him, do you?
It's just too inconsistent, man. Like he's
Yeah,
good.
I don't know whether he's happy with this backup role, so I think he could leave. And if Ziyech doesn't leave, it will be Werner. I think Werner's going to leave, so we'll have to get a new wide forward. So again, what side? Yeah, Rafinha, Dembele. Dembele is amazing, by the way. If you guys haven't watched him recently, just watch Barca games, bro. He's been absolutely cooking
I
for them.
watched him
He's
the
so
other
good,
day actually against
bro.
who
Oh
did
my
he go
days,
out against? He's very skilled. I mean, I didn't realise how direct he is. He's so
he's
direct with the
crazy,
ball.
bro. He's
When
crazy. I'd love him at Chelsea.
he's not injured,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, and he's been keeping actually pretty relatively fit lately. So yeah, I
Do
mean,
you think
there's obviously talk of Darwin Núñez, but I don't think he's ready yet. I think he's a bit raw. Um, no, I mean, I
I don't want
definitely
any new strikers, man. I'm giving up on
no,
that. I'm giving up.
yeah, plays out wide as well as striker, so I could see the club's logic in that. But that again, that's what we bought Werner for. I mean, how many times has he actually played
Well, does he
striker here?
stay now? Has he turned himself? And I know he's had a lot of criticism himself, but the last two performances of Timo Werner, especially against Real Madrid, for me, I thought he was pretty impressive. He just looked a little bit more. He looked more composed on the ball, which is unusual for him because we haven't seen
Yeah,
it.
he's been decent, but I don't know. I still feel like it's not going to work out for him. I kind of feel like it's best for all parties if he leaves. I mean, he needs his confidence back, bro. Like, I have no doubt Werner is a league specific player and a system specific player. If he goes back to the Bundesliga, bro, he's going to smash it. Like, his career's going to be really good over there. Even, I don't know. I'm not sure about other leagues, but I think he'll go back to Germany. And then he said three players, right? So
Yeah,
I mean, defense again
defense.
is
Mm.
key. I would definitely put an argument up there for a backup fullback wingback who can play on both sides because I'm not liking Alonso and Aspi still doing backup shifts in 2022. To be honest with you, and obviously Aspi could leave. You've got Kunde as well, could come in. Christensen's leaving, so yeah, we'll probably sign Kunde. So I think those are the main three positions for me: wide forward, DM, and centre back. But we've got so much to do. Like I'd like another. I'm always greedy. I want another striker if we replace Lukaku because it'll be hype, right?
We
But
need
they'll
that
probably
though.
flop.
We need that. Can't we not have a Kai Havertz and just buy some Dembélés and some Rafinhas and
Yeah,
add
we,
some?
we could, but I still don't know if Havertz is clinical enough to win us the league. That's my problem. Like he's doing well, but we mustn't forget Havertz always does this. He's always good in the second half of the season. He's usually quite like he's really, really bad in the first half of the season. For his whole career, by the way. So he's not just at Chelsea, it happened at Leverkusen as well. So can you trust Havertz up top, even if we sign creative players to do this all season in all competitions? That's a big ask for someone who's 21 or 22. People are not,
It
taking
is,
this
but
into account.
his progression as an individual, especially this year at the latter stage, has been one of the biggest keys, biggest
Bro, I
great,
love
biggest
Havertz.
hits.
I
But
love Havertz. I'm just not sure. Like over a whole, like there's so many competitions.
that's
Like
that, yeah.
we've
Look,
just got so many young attackers, bro. Like this is why we signed Lukaku, by the way, because he was experienced. Obviously it's not worked out, but
I
like
don't, yeah, yeah. Go on, man.
no, I was just gonna say as well. I saw that Lewandowski might be leaving Bayern. I mean, I'd love
Ooh.
that for a season or two. He's one of my favorite players ever.
He is. He's world class, mate. He is what you call an elite striker all day, mate. All day. Doesn't matter how old he is. He's still just fit as a fiddle, isn't he? He just gets around. So,
Yeah.
um, if Tchouaméni goes to Madrid, well, I've read that he's not now. Apparently, that's not all true. Him getting close to Madrid and Declan Rice remaining at West Ham. I don't see Chelsea getting Declan Rice for 150 million. Personally, Tchouaméni is something I don't feel we can miss out on. Like I know Real Madrid are there, but they're obviously getting Mbappe as well. I think Tchouaméni would be the perfect DM. I mean, who was your choice, Tchouaméni or Declan Rice out of the two?
um. I don't know. I think Rice is more. Well, he's more proven in the Premier League. I don't know though, because I think Rice is very very good. It's just the price for me. But I mean, if Tchouaméni goes for 70 mil and Rice is 90 million, I'll probably just buy Rice because of the Premier League factor. And
Hmm.
obviously, like he's captain at West Ham. Also, like he really likes Chelsea. Like he's going to give everything. He's probably not ever going to ask for a move. You know.
Just he's not 150 million, though, is he? Like that's the problem
No,
for
no,
me.
no. He won't go for that. But I think that's just
Yeah,
trying to
but if
scare
you're West
people away.
Ham and he's your best player, and let's be serious, he's probably their best player. Like you've kind of got the power. Like you might as well wait till his contract. I think his contract runs out in 2025. I'm right off the top of my head. You might as well wait. Just wait your time. And if unless he forces a move, which will then automatically drop his price. Um, yeah, I wouldn't rush it just for 100. And I don't think whoever the new owners that come in, they're going to spend that kind of money on a DM personally. But We'll have to see because Tchouaméni at the moment is apparently worth around 80 million, isn't it? What they're saying as well. So he's not even cheap himself. But Jem, big up question to you and Piers. Do you think Boehly will improve the recruitment if they win the bid? And what do you think of Finkelstein? I don't know. It's a question me and Pies can't answer. I don't know what their plans are. We've not. I hope they will because I don't think our recruitment at our football club's good enough. Whether Marina Graverskaya stays, apparently all the bidders want her. Is on her. Apparently she'll pick and choose whether she wants to continue here or not. I think she has to stay for this summer period to get things done, contracts and whatever else. I think she has to for the club's sake. But in terms of Finkelstein, I mean, Pies, what's your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, I've spoke to him. He seems like a nice guy. Obviously he's worked again in a lot of football data. He's written a lot of columns about football. And yeah, I think he's a good addition. I don't know how much of a role he's going to play personally, but I mean, could be a really good addition considering he's worked with head of Liverpool data, and you think of some of the players they've signed. You know,
True. They don't buy loads, but they buy right, don't they? Which is good.
exactly. And we buy loads and usually buy wrong. So
We buy loads with no success. Yeah, I mean, actually, we won the Champions League. We can't be that moody, can we? But it is what it is. All right. Cheers, Adrian, for that comment. Will Chelsea play a free season back free at Wembley? Will Chelsea play free season at Wembley? I'm assuming he's talking about back free at Wembley on Sunday. What do you think, Pies?
I think he's talking about the stadium, right?
Oh, sorry. Will Chelsea play?
No, we're not moving to Wembley because they
Oh,
want to develop it in stages. Apparently, all the bidders don't want to they don't want Chelsea to be away from like how Spurs were. They went and played at Wembley for a while, right? The
mm,
bidders that are currently in, I know for Bowleys especially, they don't want to. They want to kind of do it like Anfield. I don't know how that like the whole stadium thing is a right old. I don't get it for me because like speaking to someone who knows a bit about the stadium and stuff, like you can't like it's very hard to build upwards, and I think he was talking about like I don't know, like building in that area in general is really hard now because of all the stuff around it. So I mean, I guess that's why he's got Goldstein on board. But I don't know. It's
yeah.
all. I don't really know much about the stadium. I don't really care to be honest. I know it's an unpopular opinion, but I've said this so much. I don't care about the stadium. I love going to the stadium. I think it's brilliant. you know,
Yeah,
but
I think it is a bit stressful trying to get tickets. I do think we ain't got enough seats personally, but at the same
I
time, I agree. I do
I don't
love
know.
that.
It's more of an aesthetic thing for me. I feel like people just like realistically, the biggest thing about it more than anything is the revenue. The revenue it will bring is great, but people telling me it's going to improve the atmosphere. No, it won't. And no, it really will not. I'm telling you that now. Is Old Trafford, Anfield, Emirates loud? No, they're not. Especially not for the for the smaller games. Like they would, it just, it may improve it slightly, but it's not going to be what everyone thinks. Like we're not just going to turn Stamford Bridge into a fortress because we included 12k more seats or 10, 15k more
Mm,
seats. It doesn't work like that, you know. So
100%,
that's my opinion.
100%, 100%, 100%. I hear what you're saying. I think it's more of a personal choice, isn't it, when it comes to wanting to stay or go or be there or not. I think some people have, and I understand where some people say why they want to move, and I understand why some people say they don't want to move. It's one of them things. Ollie Joe says if our strategy going forward is going to be smart, cheap signings, will players like Tchouaméni and Koundé be off the table? Why would our strategy be smart, cheap? Why couldn't it just be smart and still spend? Does that make sense? I.e., if you're going to buy Tchouaméni or Koundé, you're going to spend money. They're going to spend 50, 60 plus to get these type of players to the football club anyway. For me, this is why Todd Boehly, we cry for Todd Boehly because it seems like he's gonna spend smart in terms of maybe looking at the data, talking to the managers, getting the Chelsea hierarchy involved, like really trying to understand where we need to improve in certain areas. And I think something like that can be a good thing. I don't think cheap is the right word. I feel that smart potentially meaning don't spend 75 million on Kepa and 100 million on Lukaku. That ain't smart. See what I mean? Like, yeah, maybe that kind of smart. Yeah, they won't do that. They'll be a bit more reserved in the idea. Maybe they will spend on the right player, a bit like what Liverpool did with Diaz, if you look at, for example, which was smart. No one really saw that coming and bang, they'd
What
signed
Liverpool
him.
did with Van Dijk, right? They
Yeah,
spent
exactly.
£75 million. It doesn't mean we
Yeah.
won't spend big. It just means that, you know, you, like you think, what was it? I mean, Lampard's window, we broke our record on Havertz. And then we just broke our record again on Lukaku. Like, that's crazy. We've broken our own record on back-to-back windows.
What makes it worse, guys? Roman Abramovich's last signing at this football club was Romelu Lukaku, man.
Yeah. Fine.
Fuck's sake.
Uh,
It is what it is, and it is what it is. I'm just trying to read some of these other comments. Right, so we've got what? We've got a couple more. We'll go through these quickly. Gem mate, question: are you looking forward to Derby Day on Wednesday? I am, even though you will batter us, but at least I will have fun with my CFC mate. Well, Arsenal, we're talking about here. Yeah. Um, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I look forward to all Derby days. I just feel like Arsenal are a bit of a bogey team for Chelsea and have been for the last couple of years. I do expect us to win. I always expect us to beat Arsenal. Personally, I do think we have the better team. I just feel sometimes that in derbies, especially for a team like Arsenal, they seem to turn up in these type of games, but then next week, they'll go and lose to Burnley. Do you know what I mean? Like that's just Arsenal and that's just Chelsea, isn't it, to a degree at the moment. So no, I am looking forward to it, mate. I expecting a good game, relevant to obviously the Palace game on Sunday as well, which can have its effects. We've played a lot of football, to be fair, 5 competitions, 50+ games being played as well. There's a lot going on in our football club at the moment as well. But yeah, big up to you, Noah. Big up to you. How soon can a new owner start operations when a winning bid is announced? Will the EPL vetting take a long time? Again, I can't answer that question. I'm pretty sure Pies can't really answer. Can you answer that question, Pies? I don't think we can we?
what does he mean by vetting?
Well, I think he's saying, once the initial bidders picked or the finalised bidders picked and they obviously go for special licensing to the government, I think he's
Yeah.
talking about being vetted through the Premier League as well, because apparently the
Oh,
Premier League will say, in
yeah. I
getting.
think that takes like, I think it was like 4 to 5 weeks potentially before that, like it's officially like they're the owner. But I think sanctions will be lifted once they're actually the owner, like it's and the club is sold. I'm not quite sure how it's going to work, but yeah, they have a period of about 4 or 5 weeks. Could be less if they don't find any problems, but yeah, it's not exactly that fast to get the new owner officially announced, and that's why I think Rain have tried to do it as a speedy sale as such, but it's not been that speedy. So
No.
yeah, we need an owner quickly announced, so then the Premier League can do their job. Rain can present it to the government. That process can start, and then hopefully everything will be in play by the summer window. I'm hoping. And obviously as well, the good thing is like I've been noticing a lot lately. We've had a lot of links to players that we don't usually get it before the summer window. Like we've been linked to Nunes, been linked to Rafinha before. We was linked to obviously Dembele came out again, potentially not extend his contract. Kunde, Tchouameni, like it seems like the club may be planning for this case in case that they don't say like a new owner comes in, but it's not until like 2 weeks of the 3 weeks transfer window. Like they'll
Mm.
already have those targets in place, so then they can just go and focus on them. You know what I mean? Instead of
Yeah, like
it
the
seems like they might, yeah,
likes of someone like Kunde, for example, who you probably feel that after all of the negotiations that we've had will probably be waiting for us to
yeah. They're kind of
like,
like
yeah,
pre-planning, right? So
pre-planning. That's it. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah. I
but
agree.
I
I
mean,
feel like we will have our eyes on who we want for when the new owners come in. I feel like Marina
yeah,
will do what she needs to do to continue getting contract. I mean, Rudiger's contract is a biggie, right? It's even the
oh,
contracts that we've
that's a
got.
huge one, bro. Huge one. We've got to
Who
get
else
him
is there?
renewed.
Aspie. I mean, Christensen's gone, right? I'm assuming he's done. There's no way.
Yeah,
Um,
supposedly considered gone according to the Athletic today. So I
Big
don't
up
think
to
there's any way back
Kevioe
for him.
as well. Yeah, big up to you, mate. Says thank you, Pies Texas, for answering that question. No problem. Texas Blue, we've already read that one. What we've got here. Arignac says thoughts on these Nunes link boys. Personally, the Broja and Havertz would complement each other really well. I mean, do you not feel that maybe we should just look close to home rather than just continue spending money? People like Broja have been at Southampton and had very good seasons. Conor Gallagher, who's had a very good season at Palace, Could we not just potentially offload some of the shitters like Barkley and loan maybe some others, maybe like Ruben or Callum, for example, and allow the likes of Broja and Conor Gallagher back in to the squad?
Yeah, I mean, when I was reading this Nunes link, I mean, they've thrown our name in with literally every other European club. So
I don't
when
know.
that happens, I don't think there's much to it. But I don't know. I take David Ornstein seriously, and he said we're in the top three clubs. I personally don't rate him that highly, from what I've seen. But yeah, we'll see when it comes to it. I just, we will get a wide forward slash striker if Werner leaves. But again, how much money do we get for Werner? Do we decide to reinvest that? I don't know. Obviously, we'll reinvest it, but in
I
what
don't think
position?
I don't think Werner goes if Lukaku don't stay.
Wait, so
I
you
think
you don't think Werner goes
if
Lukaku leaves?
If Lukaku goes, if
Yeah.
Lukaku goes, I think Werner stays.
Hmm.
I don't
That's
think
a
both
difficult
go.
one.
I don't think both
Ah,
go.
I don't know.
I think he will go. I think Ziyech will stay, and I think Werner will stay, and I think Pulisic will still be it, and I think we'll just add to it if
Yeah,
Lukaku
I
goes.
I don't know. I am guilty of this sometimes. Like usually when I talk about transfers, I'm like, I can see him going, and then eventually pretty much everyone already stays anyway, apart from like that's the most annoying thing about Marina is you can't like she's good at getting deals for certain players, but we've got so much dead wood and players that don't really want to be here that we end up keeping. It's
This
annoying.
ain't happening, Mythos, mate. I don't want. I mean, look, I don't really. I'm not going to get into this Felix debate because I see so many Chelsea fans wanting him, but I don't really.
I would love Joel Felix.
Well, I
He's
don't
so
get
good,
it.
bro.
I don't get this whole Felix love. I
He's so
watched him
good,
a couple
bro.
of times. Like, I don't think people like. I've watched him probably not enough, but from what I've seen of him, yes, he's a very good on the ball. His movement's very good, and obviously he can score a goal when he's creative for. But we had the same thing when we brought Timo Werner across. He's scoring loads of goals over here. It comes to our
Nah, bro. Like Felix's technical ability, like Werner has no technical
yeah,
ability.
but
Like
you're
let's
forgetting
not
he's
kid
coming
ourselves.
into a league, Pies, where they're not going to give you that time. Like he probably gets more in the Spanish league.
He's like Dybala for me though, bro. He's so silky and so like with his movement and his turns. Bro. He would bang in this league in the right system, no doubt. He's quality, bro. So good.
I'm not sold on him. I'm not going to lie.
Come
I've
on,
felt
bro.
this for a while. I think he's a good player, but I think I'm done when it comes to strikers. I just think that he's not a main striker for me. He's not someone we could just play up front and build around. I think you would need to have him next to a Havertz, close to each other, working off each other to get the best out of him. And I think not to say that look, technically he's 10 times million better than Timo Werner. Do you know what I mean? I get that, but I just don't know whether with the way this league is, not having a time on the ball, the physicality. Like he's not the biggest of players. Like when you look at him, and some of the guys that we come up against
Yeah,
are.
but neither is Dembele, and Dembele would just he
Yeah,
wins
but
so many fouls.
Dembele's quick and he dribbles directly. He's the people. He makes
So is
defenders go
Felix, bro.
backwards. Felix is not a dribbler though, is he? He's not going to
Yeah,
run at
no,
people who
he is. He just
fucking
doesn't.
step over
He
him.
doesn't get the chance to show it because he hardly touches the bloody ball at Simeone's team.
All
Like
right, I ain't watched enough of him. I
yeah,
trust you.
trust me, right? Even like I can. I'm saying this now because against Man City, right? Even in their home leg, the one time he got the ball in the first half, he tried to dribble past the whole team because he was so starved of the ball. Bless him. I
You know
was
what? He
like, I
did
just
take
feel
some very
sorry
good
for him.
touches in that game. I'm not going to lie. He absolutely skinned someone. I can't remember. I think it was Cole Walker actually. He skinned someone badly. Like he has gotten. Don't get me wrong. It's not that he hasn't got the ability. He's good. I just worry that he's not going to be this. Like how we do this with every striker, where they're really good elsewhere and they come to us and they're fucking the opposite. And I'm just like, I worry now. I give up. Um, Right. What else have we got here? Thank you. We've got one here saying, "Do you think Bro will get a chance next season?" And we'll do a quick, straight answer to this one. Do you think he'll get a chance? Yes or no?
Yes.
You do.
Yes, in
And
pre-season,
starts? Oh no.
but no, he
Yeah.
won't start. He's not good enough to start yet either, by the way. I've watched a lot of him. I'm just warning you guys now, he does have a lot of ability, but he's another transition striker as it stands. I'm telling you now, he's direct with the ball, but in possession, he's not that great yet. He does need to improve a lot. He thrives on transitions and counter attacks. I will say that. So he does need to improve a lot. But the thing is, I wouldn't mind sending him out on another loan, but I don't want this club to sell him because I can see the ability there. I just
He
don't
has
think
this
he's ready
like,
yet to start.
don't get me wrong when I say this because he's not exactly the same as this guy, but he reminds me of Diego Costa, like in the way that he moves and stuff, like with the ball and like he's very like you can
Yeah,
play him up front in his own, and he's strong enough to fight with the defenders. He's strong enough to like hold the ball up. He's good enough with the ball at his feet. He has the pace in behind. He's not rapid,
yes,
but like the only thing I would say that he still lacks for me a little bit, and he has scored some really good goals, is that it's his he's yeah in front of goal. Like I feel like he could do better sometimes in front of
definitely.
goal. His
He
decision
has missed
making.
a few
That's
good
it.
chances.
Decision making, yeah, in front of goal.
Mm.
Like sometimes he just gets it, and that's
He's
just because
still
of his
raw, bro.
age. Yeah, it's the rawness. Like I'm cool with
Oh,
that. Do you know what I mean? But
I'd love him to be in the squad though,
mm,
bro. Like, just
mm.
even imagine him coming off the bench, bro. Like, the way he runs at defenders when he picks up the ball is scary. Like, I wouldn't want to face him. Like, he's definitely going to be a very good player. He's still very raw. He's young, so
would he
I don't
would
know
he
whether he goes
thrive
on another
under the likes
loans.
of like Havertz and that next to him though? Like playing in a team that dominates the ball is what he probably.
That
Maybe you see
again,
more. Yeah.
that's my worry because I do think he's suited to this transition style that we don't usually play often. So I'm not too sure yet. I need to see
Stop this.
more of him. You know.
Yeah, Kazim, stop this. I keep seeing you spamming Richarlison all the time. Richarlison is not good enough for Chelsea, mate. I'm sorry. I know you keep thinking he's a baller. He's not good enough. Like even if they get relegated, I wouldn't want Chelsea to buy Richarlison. Sorry, like not for me. Not for me. Felix Havertz, Mount Magical is what Kevio is saying as well. All right, so that's that one. Faulkner. RC says, if Kepa goes, what keeper would you both want as backup? Sam Johnson available on a free think. I feel I
Yeah,
feel that
he's decent.
if you're a new owner coming in, would you not look at Kepa's wages and contract and think we need to get rid of this guy? Like he is getting paid well too much. So like 150 or 60k.
Think they would think that, but again, you know, if Marina stays,
She'll have to cut her losses, mate.
you're gonna need the price. She's gonna need a certain price, and with the wages and how she demands things, is he gonna stay? Probably. I don't expect Kepa to leave, to be honest. Maybe on loan with like an obligation kind of deal, but
He's not.
then again, it's another signing you have to make in that case, isn't it? So,
He's too much though, Pies, for a second goalie. Like he's just his wage.
but
Like
so is Alonso, bro, and we can't get rid of Alonso because of his wages. So is
yeah, but
Barkley. You know what I mean?
7-year contract, like on
Yeah.
that sort of wage, is a lot of money. Not even playing most games of the season, just coming in on cup games and potentially if many gets injured. Like I don't know, like we could get rid of it. If someone's out there, we're gonna have. I keep saying this. Marina's gonna have to cut her losses on somebody. If she stays, she's gonna have to learn to cut her losses because, like some of these players, Lukaku, Kepa, whoever, you know, Barkley's getting 5 million a year from us for doing fuck all. Like he's like, what is he doing on the books? Do you know what I mean? Like there's just too many guys on the books that shouldn't be on the books. That's my point. So yeah. Big up to CFC Stephen. We are nearly finished, guys. We are nearly finished. Pliers, are you a season ticket holder? Is what Nick Blue's saying.
Yes. Matthew
There you
Harding
go.
law.
There you go. Don't try and find him. You're not going to find him. He doesn't wear a cap and look like Eden Hazard, so you're not going to find him, mate. You're not gonna find him.
Oh.
Would you take Pogba as a deep line creative midfielder? Now, this is probably going to be a bit of a divide, but for me, I like Pogba. I've liked Pogba for a while. The only issue with Pogba is Pogba. Like like he could be
Luxury player, bro.
he
Luxury
could be
player again.
he is, but he could be like absolutely on his day the best midfielder like in the league. Do you know what I mean? In the way that he plays, in the next minute he can just be fucking dog shit. Do you know what I mean? He's so inconsistent. Like I don't know. Would him and Kante work with Kovacic? Probably.
Comes with so much baggage as well. Like Pogba's, you know, you just that me, bro. I'm not a United fan, and whenever I see it all the time, bro. Like one of my mates is a United fan. He wants Pogba gone ASAP just because of the media. Like it's crazy.
He's always in the
I
media.
feel bad for him as well because he gets targeted for nothing. Like they have some weird agenda against him, but yeah, I don't know if I want that baggage here. I don't think that would ever happen either, personally,
No,
because of the
no
balance as well.
J5.
You know,
Yeah, yeah, 100%. No J5. I'm saying Kante, Kovacic, Pogba, man. No, I can't be doing J5. Let's move from that one. Two more. We got here. We got. Do you reckon someone else is joining Boehly's group? They can't, can they? From what I understand, Pies, it's done. People can't just hop in.
Don't think so. No, it's done.
It's done from what we understand, mate. Unless something new comes out next week, which we'll keep up to date with you. Mythos, there's any midfielders in mind besides the main ones? Which are Declan Rice and
I've
Mini.
you know I've always really liked Basuma from Brighton.
Yeah, he's
Um,
good. He's
really
very
like him, but I don't know if he's defensive, but he's not defensive at the same time. But then again, I could say that with Rice because I don't know if you guys watch West Ham, but Rice is, bro, he's so good as a box to box as well. He is like crazy with the ball running forward. This guy's scored some brilliant solo goals this season. So I don't think you can.
Tielemans.
Tillemans, yeah, he's all right, but I don't think he's great defensively
Mm.
either. He's okay. He's good on the ball, good shot, but
Yeah, he's more
yeah, I
box to box.
agree. Yeah, he's
He
more of
is
a box to
100%.
box. But
What about
again,
this
like
guy?
Basuma's really good at tackling, though. That's what I'd say. He's strong as well.
What do you
Yeah,
think of
like
this lad as wing back? Because we
yeah,
talk about
he's
needing
great.
support there. What do you think
He's
of
great.
Cucurella?
He's very very good. I rate him highly, bro. He's very very direct, very good on the ball. Small, but he's aggressive as hell as well. That's a good again example of what I want to see from Chelsea. These, finds like Brighton have fun with Cucurella, um, Liverpool with Diaz. Like, I want play like Cucurella was scouted in the Spanish league. I want players like this, bro, that are just they come in for like cheapish sort of amount of money and they're just absolute ballers. Like they can keep
Mm.
him for years, bro. He's so good. They can cash in him, keep him. It's just they're set.
They've got Lamptey on the other side as well, who's not doing too bad as well. So it's yeah. I mean, I've not watched enough. I've watched him partly. I think he's very good. It's better than going to get like someone like Guerrero from Dortmund, who I actually rate, to be fair, but he's just going to be stupid money. Do you know what I mean? For example, but yeah, I think this guy's Premier League proven. He's amazing, great creativity, and defensively top quadrant of defenders is what Aroniak's saying as well. Um, yeah, I think we are done, really. I don't think there's much else to go through. Now, we've gone through pretty much everything up to date from today's news in regards to the Ricketts. They are gone. They have left the shortlisted bidders, should we say. So, I'm very happy. Not only myself, but I'm sure Pies is and everyone of the Chelsea, most of the Chelsea community are happy with that win. Big W on that one. But we still haven't got we still haven't got an owner. We still haven't got an owner, and we are pretty sure that by the end of next week we maybe have a bit more of an idea of who that owner will be. And once we do, I'm sure there'll be more coming out in terms of their plans and ideas for Chelsea Football Club, which then we'll be delving into more. People like CFC Pies will be sharing on social medias, and then probably we'll set up a show, and he'll be back on here, and we'll be finally be able to sit here after all of this crazy saga and talk about who that new owner is, what their ideas are. Once I'm sure they'll be publicised at some point, once they've been picked, and give our thoughts and opinions. And we will let you guys get involved in that as well. Maybe open up the lines at a later stage. But Pies, any final words, mate, on what's been an absolutely beautiful day, not only by with the sun, but obviously the announcement of the Ricketts.
Yeah, just as usual, hoping for the best going forward. Hopefully, a quick announcement, so then the next stage can go on quicker. Get that sorted. Hopefully, Chelsea win on Sunday as well, bro. Big game. I'm really hoping it's one of those ones where we don't underestimate the opponent, kind of like the
Mm,
Leicester game in the final. But
mm.
we need to be professional, get the job done, score some goals, and please do not lose that FA Cup final. That would be three in a row, and I mean, the Wembley curse is just real at that point. If it's not already. And one
It's
last
a great.
thing:
Go.
prepare yourselves because Anthony Taylor is the referee on Sunday. So
Do you know
prepare
what was more?
yourselves.
Do you know what was more scary? That Real Madrid referee looked exactly like the Barcelona referee. Like even when you
Alfredo,
put them
yeah,
both, like when you put them like that together, they
yeah.
literally had the splitting same, even the same shape, bald head and face structure. Like I'm telling you,
Oh
that there's
god,
something
what
not
is it
right.
with bald referees? Like, what is this?
They
They're
don't
all
like us, man.
terrible, bro.
It's these
They're
bald
terrible.
referees, man. I'm not going to get back into that Real Madrid game, but I actually haven't spoke to you about that because I have been hurting from it as well, probably like yourself. But that blooming refereeing, that the whole game, and I'm not trying to use it as an excuse, but he was fucking shit. Like I've never seen such a worse, more biased referee than that referee was for Real Madrid. And that I'm sorry, that ain't handball. That Alonso goal was a goal. I don't care what anyone says as well. And if it is a part of the rule books, then that needs to change, because what is he meant to do like that? What are you meant to do with your arms? Go like that? It's like, I don't get it, man. I really don't get it. It's a weird rule. It's a weird rule. But then you look at when PK handballed it against us at the bridge, remember? And his arm was like that, and it fucking slapped his hand, and they didn't even give a penalty for that. Fucking joke, man. I'm not corrupt, man. The agenda on Chelsea is real, guys. Trust me, the agenda on Chelsea is real. Listen, I will be back on Sunday. We are doing the match preview. Hopefully around sort of, it depends if I'm going to the game, then it'll be quite early, be about 11, 12 o'clock. Then I've got to try and make my way down to meet the boys at around 2. I'm not sure if I'm 100% going, yes or not, but one way or the other, I'll still be doing the show for the match preview. So make sure you guys are back here for that as well, and we'll be discussing the game more in depth as we approach it as well. But thank you guys for tuning in. Still over 100 of you guys here. Big up, everyone. Thanks to Pies for coming on again as well and sharing his knowledge as much as he possibly can in regards to Chelsea. Enjoy the rest of your evening or day, wherever it is that you may be. And we will be back on Sunday. Peace out, guys.